6 p.m. car local time for the news. I'm Nusreen Behar. We start with the headlines. President Sisi attends the 33rd Armed Forces Culture Symposium on the occasion marking Martyrs' Day. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli reviews arrangements for the new administrative capital opening. Libya's Prime Minister designate urges lawmakers to vote for his new government. Welcome back. Time for the news in full. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi sent a greeting of appreciation and respect to martyrs, saying Egypt will not forget its martyrs, as the armed forces held a culture event to celebrate Martyrs' Day, marking the 52nd anniversary of the martyrdom of ex-Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, General Abdel Mun'im Riyad. The President was addressing a symposium held by the armed forces. He said the epics of the martyrs who sacrificed the nation urge Egyptians to strive to continue the drive of preserving their country, a task that is not easy. President Sisi thanked both army and police forces for their role in confronting forces of destruction. The head of state also thanked health workers confronting the coronavirus pandemic, hailing government performance in dealing with the pandemic, commenting on rural areas and villages development projects. The president said these areas had been neglected for so long time, but now is the time to address the situation using Egyptian resources. He added that Egypt will witness the birth of a new state and a new republic with the new capital, the inauguration of the new administrative capital. At the Armed Forces Culture Symposium held to commemorate Martyrs' Day, President Sisi honored the families of martyrs and the wounded in both military operations and in fight against the coronavirus outbreak. Prime Minister Madbouli, Defense Minister General Mohammed Zaki, and a number of other ministers and senior officials also attended the event held under the theme, "Without their sacrifices, we would not be where we are." Al-Azhar Institution and its Grand Imam, Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib, on Tuesday extended greetings to Egypt's heroes defending the national security and safety, in particular those who sacrificed their lives in security operations. Marking the Martyrs' Day, the leading Islamic institution also greeted families and mothers of martyrs and the wounded, saying they provided best examples of patience and perseverance. The statement hailed the great sacrifices made by army and police personnel to secure Egypt's stability and security. The nation's Protectors Party also congratulated President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the armed forces for the occasion. A statement said that Martyrs' Day is an occasion to commemorate the sincere patriotic spirit and the principle of giving that led Egyptian soldiers to defend its security and integrity throughout history. The party extended greeting to the mothers of martyrs who taught them these meanings. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli affirmed the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi that the new administrative capital opening should be at the highest level of organization in a bid to reflect the greatness of the giant civilization projects which express modern Egypt and represents a new evidence of the great achievements carried out by the Egyptians despite any challenges. The Prime Minister remarks came during his meeting with Minister of Housing, Chairman of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority, to discuss arrangements for the opening of the new administrative capital by the end of the year. The meeting tackled the proposed scenarios for the new administrative capital inauguration process. Madbouli also pointed out that a tour will be held inside the capital to determine the most appropriate place to hold the celebration before submitting the concepts presented to President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli held talks on Tuesday with Minister of Environment Dr. Yasmin Fouad. During the meeting, the Prime Minister was briefed on developments and returns of natural reserves and investment projects targeted at them in the Central Region, South Sinai, the Red Sea, and Aswan. For her part, the Environment Minister said that the ministry is currently working on a new roadmap to deal with construction and demolition waste, including plans of long and short-term scenarios. Fouad also noted that a cooperation protocol is to be signed in a bid to establish industrial unit for producing compressed wood and aloe from palms using technology, and to stop or decrease the imported compressed wood in Egypt. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli received on Tuesday officials from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development and the International Finance Institution of the World Bank. During the meeting, Prime Minister Madbouli praised the joint partnership with the international institutions since decades in several projects, including the Benban Solar Energy Project. Madbouli also expressed Egypt's aspiration to launch cooperation with the World Bank and the European Bank for Reconstruction in desalination projects. During the meeting, Madbouli referred also to the transformation projects, to modern irrigation systems and ways to save water and reducing waste. The Prime Minister called on the officials in various financial institutions to hold more cooperation with Egypt and to attract more investment. Companies specialized in the field of water desalination added that the energy to be used in these projects is from clean energy. The Health Ministry reported new 591 coronavirus cases and 43 deaths. In its daily report, the ministry said recoveries have reached 144,000 cases from a total of 187,000. The ministry said it is still on high alert and follows up on coronavirus developments around the clock. The statement said precautionary measures are taken to fend against any viruses or contagious disease. Russia's Sputnik V vaccine against COVID-19 could be produced in Europe for the first time after a commercial deal was signed to produce it in Italy. The deal was signed by the Moscow-based RDIF Sovereign Wealth Fund and Swiss-based pharmaceutical company Adian, and the details in the following report.
Russia's Sputnik V vaccine against COVID-19 could be produced in Europe for the first time after a commercial deal to produce it in Italy was signed by the Moscow-based RDIF Sovereign Wealth Fund and Swiss-based pharmaceutical company Adian. The agreement, which will need approval from Italian regulators before production can be launched, has been confirmed by both RDIF and the Italian-Russian Chamber of Commerce. It is the latest evidence that some EU companies are not willing to wait for the EU's own regulator, the European Medicines Agency EMA, to grant its approval to Sputnik V before pushing ahead with their own plans. Scientists said the Russian vaccine was almost 92% effective based on peer-reviewed late-stage trial results published in the Lancet Medical Journal last month. Sputnik V has already been approved or is being assessed for approval in 3 EU member states, Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic. EU officials have said Brussels could start negotiations with the vaccine maker if at least 4 member countries countries requested. The Italian-Russian Chamber of Commerce said in a statement issued on Monday that the move paved the way for the creation of the first Sputnik V production facility in Europe. It said there were plans for Italian production to begin in June and that it hoped that 10 million doses of Sputnik V could be produced there by the end of the year.
Libya's Prime Minister-designate urged lawmakers to vote for his new government in the first reunited session of parliament in years that the UN hailed as historic. A total of 132 members of the 188-strong House of Representatives gathered to vote on interim Premier Abdelhamid Bebeya and his cabinet lineup, a crucial step toward December elections. And stability after a decade of violence. A UN-supervised process aimed to unite the country after an October ceasefire between forces loyal to two rival administrations in the east and west of the country. The United Nations mission in Libya called Monday's meeting historic and praised the convening a reunified session after many years of divisions and paralysis. Saudi state reported on Tuesday that Arab-led coalition battling Yemen's Houthi militants intercepted an armed drone launched by the Iran-aligned movement towards Khamis Mushayt in southern Saudi Arabia last week. The U.S. Treasury Department imposed sanctions on two Houthi military leaders in the first punitive measure, or rather measures against the group by President Joe Biden's administration following the increase in attacks on Saudi cities. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said that the Houthi militants must demonstrate willingness to engage in a political process to achieve peace in Yemen. This came as the U.S. condemned the attack by Yemen's Houthis on Saudi oil facilities. Arab-led coalition authorities said most of Sunday's drones and missiles were intercepted en route to their targets and there were no casualties or property losses from the attacks. Price said the attacks were unacceptable and put civilians at risk, including American citizens. The UN nuclear watchdog told its member states that Iran has started enriching uranium with a third set of advanced IR-2M centrifuges at its underground plant at Natanz on 7th of March 2021. The agency verified Iran had begun feeding natural UF6 into the third cascade of 174 IR-2M centrifuges. The International Atomic Energy Agency said the fourth cascade of the 174 IR-2M centrifuge was installed. Also, installation of a fifth cascade was ongoing and installation of a sixth one had yet to begin. This is more than 3.67 purity allowed under the deal, but less than 20% it is enriching to at another facility. Uranium enriched to 90% purity can be used to make an atomic weapon. Welcome back. Minister of Finance Dr. Mohammed Moait affirmed that the first phase of the presidential initiative to replace old cars with new ones manufactured locally and running on natural gas will come into effect before the end of March. Moait said that a regulatory protocol that includes the implementation procedures for this initiative will be signed between the relevant ministers, bank car manufacturers, insurance companies. Moait said that this comes in a way that contributes to the setting to setting the auto industry and industries that feed, creating new job opportunities and helping to improve the lives of citizens and the level of services provided to them. This came during the Finance Minister meeting with Minister of Local Development Mahmoud Sha'rawi, in which Minister of Trade and Industry Naveen Gema participated through video conference. The Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics stated that the balance of trade deficit decreased by 14% to $3.28 billion during December 2020, compared by $3.81 billion to the previous year. CAMPS stated that value of exports also went down 0.1% the previous year to reach $2.76 billion, while imports also declined by 8.1%, reaching $6.04 billion. Egypt's stock market indices declined during Tuesday's dealings, affected by selling operations from local investors and foreign corporations. The benchmark EGX 30 index went down by 1.07% to reach 11,337.46 points. The equal weighted index EGX 70 declined by 0.38%, while EGX 100 index edged lower by 0.5%. Oil prices are surging on increased demand as virus-hit economies slowly reopen after months of lockdown. Oil prices rose on Tuesday as investors also focused on prospects for tighter supply and demand recovery. Brent crude was up 1.3% at $69.13 a barrel. US West Texas Intermediate added 0.6% to $65.46 a barrel. Welcome back again. Juventus trained at the base in Venovo, preparing to host Porto in the second leg of the club's Champions League round of 16. Andre Pirolo's side will have to overcome 2-1 deficit from the first leg in Portugal if they are to reach the quarter-finals for the first time in 5 seasons. Juventus are unbeaten in their last 11 games in all competitions at Allianz Stadium, winning 10 of those fixtures and have scored 9 goals combined in the last 3 home matches. The Dragons' first leg with a win over Juventus was their first victory in 5 meetings with the Old Lady. Sevilla are still alive and hopeful of pulling off a comeback in their Champions League last 16 tie with Borussia Dortmund. Coach Julian Lopetegui said on after a traumatic string of results. Sevilla lost the first leg at home 3-2 last month and could hardly have had worse run of results heading into Tuesday's return leg in Dortmund. They suffered back-to-back defeats to Barcelona in La Liga and the Copa del Rey, surrendering a 2-0 lead from the first leg to crash out of the competition 3-2 on aggregate before suffering a humbling 2-1 loss on Saturday at struggling Elche. Well, that ends our news for now. Thank you for watching. I'm Nasreen Bihar.